It is time to review the Five Nights at Freddy's book. The Silver Eyes. Oh gosh, that's a big glare there. Alright, so here's the book. It came out a few months ago. There is a brief summary on the back of the book, which I will read. It's also available on Amazon if you want to see the synopsis there, but it's also good to know it in general. So, based on the best-selling horror video game series Five Nights at Freddy's, it's been exactly 10 years since the murders at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and Charlotte, Charlie for short, has spent those 10 years trying to forget. Her father was the owner of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and the creator of its 4 adult-sized animatronic animals. And now Charlie is returning to her hometown to reunite with her childhood friends on the anniversary of the tragedy that ripped their town apart. Curiosity leads Charlie and her friends back to the old pizza place, and they find it hidden and sealed, but still standing. They discover a way inside, but things are not as they once were. The 4 mascots that delighted and entertained them as children have changed. The animatronic animals have a dark secret and a murderous agenda. And I will begin by saying that, as you can obviously see again, everything's kind of double-spaced, even though the book is pretty large and thick, each chapter is about 40 pages each. The writing style is a little bit simplistic, I will say. I mean, for the most part, it flows decently, though at times it does seem a bit overly simplistic, or I guess you could say it seems a little bit rushed at times. Other times it seems to work fairly well. You can kind of tell at some points where apparently of the 2 authors here, because it was written by Scott and another person, he apparently wrote these scenes inside the pizzeria, while she wrote the scenes outside, even though, I mean, his scenes that he wrote were edited after he wrote them to kind of fit the flow of the rest of the book. You can almost tell because those parts are a little bit more detailed in the settings and also a bit at the tense moments and that sort of thing. I'd say the writing style though is about average. It's good enough to hold your attention, and it's not distracting enough to take you out of the book. What I will say though is that the dialogue is kind of hit or miss. There are times where it really does work, and times where it does really feel like, there's an actual real conversation that teenage kids would have. And then there are other times where it does feel a little bit, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? A bit forced or stiff? As in, it's there are certain things that feels like that are just being said just to propel the conversation or the story forward. And it's a little bit distracting, but it's, again, not too much to pull you out of the book or out of the immersion. It's just a little bit oh, okay. So, I would say for the most part, the writing is decent, the dialogue is decent. It does start out a bit slow. I'd say the first half of the book is just a bunch of backstory and build-up and stuff like that. The second half is where things start getting real and going to hell, and the last 2 chapters, actually more like 3 chapters in particular, are where things hit the fan, and people who are probably interested in reading basically the animatronics going crazy in the restaurant, will be happy about those. Because again, basically, if you're looking for the just a novelization of the game, exactly, you're not going to get that here. You're not going to get oh, there's a night guard sitting in an office who's waiting for animatronics to come kill him, or anything even really similar to that. But it does have its fair share of tense moments. I wouldn't say it's scary. It definitely has those moments where you're just a little bit on the edge of your seat, but I mean, then again, the games themselves aren't that scary either. There's just jump scares, but again, there's that tension of waiting to see if you get a jump scare and that sort of thing, and that tension, I think, does carry over, at least in a handful of scenes here. So, I would say, if you're a big fan of FNAF, and you want to read some of, extended universe stuff, I'd say go for it. And if you're more of a casual person, or you could take it or leave it, this would probably be better suited, you'd probably be better off passing it up and, I don't know, maybe reading a summary on Wikipedia or something like that. So, yeah, so hopefully that'll give you a general idea if this kind of book would be up your alley or not. And, yeah. Quick addendum here. I just wanted to add that despite all my criticisms of the book and everything like that, I would like to say that it was very enjoyable to read. I really loved it, and despite some gripes about it and everything like that, I mean, it's still a decent read, a pretty fun read, I would say, if you're a fan of the series. So yeah, later.